Hey, what's up guys, this is Eric from CryptoviralTV and I'm here with the Zilliqa team. If you guys could introduce yourself.
Of course. Hello everyone, my name is Xingshu. I'm the CEO of Zilliqa. I used to work on different sorts of problems in terms of cybersecurity, and now I'm really very happily moving into this crypto space, working on scalable and secure blockchain.
My name is Anhui and I head up business development at Zilliqa. Before Zilliqa, I was in financial services, JP Morgan, and then before that, BlackRock.
BlackRock's doing some intense things right now, but
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later.
Sure.
I'll actually ask you about that later. But explain. I obviously know what your platform is. I invested pretty early when you guys listed. But anyway, aside from the crypto sphere of things, we try to talk about the blockchain and the technology behind it, so that these people who are interested in investing in cryptocurrency have an understanding of what the hell they're buying.
Sure.
I feel like that's been the biggest problem with the crypto industry, especially here in Korea, although that's definitely starting to change. It has been changing in the last 6 months. Explain your platform as you would to a high schooler who's read maybe 1 or 2 articles about what blockchain is.
So in essence, we are building a new public blockchain platform to make things, number one, faster, number two, more secure. So in terms of being faster, that's very critical, because if you look at today's public blockchains, people have to compete for that about 5 or 10 or 15 transactions every second across the globe. So sometimes you can't slot your transaction in, and then you have to compete in terms of so-called gas fee. That means you pay more to get your transaction in faster than others. So that is not ideal. What we can do is to process about thousands of transactions every second without compromising on many of other important factors. So that's one thing. The second thing is today when you write programs on top of blockchain, you are very happy because you can express many of your ideas very easily. The thing is, you as a programmer, sometimes you do not fully understand the implications of your programs. So things may go wrong. Money may get stolen, money may get frozen. So what we can do is provide a completely new and more secure way for people to program on top of the blockchain. And after that, we can even show you mathematically that what you have done is right and what does it mean.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You don't really have to understand blockchain to get that on a very high level. So you spoke about transaction rates, and everyone in the blockchain industry talks about transactions. TPS is the hottest subject aside from when's Bitcoin going to move, but that's not very important right now. In terms of TPS, where do you guys see yourselves in terms of scaling to the point? You said thousands of transactions currently. Currently your transaction rate is at, do you have a specific number by chance?
Yeah, so that's part of the reason we sort of stopped talking about precise numbers in terms of TPS, because whenever we talk about TPS, it has to be discussed in certain context.
Yes.
How large is the network and what is your protocol involving different nodes. So we are a protocol that is largely decentralized. That means whenever we try to reach a consensus to decide which transactions will be accepted, which will not be accepted, it involves almost every single node in the network of thousands of nodes. So in that kind of context, last year what we reported was about 2,000, 3,000 transactions per second. This year definitely we are making much progress towards higher end of a few thousand. So I think the more important thing is to understand that you want to get high performance, but you don't want to compromise decentralization.
Of course. In terms of consensus method, could you speak and describe a little bit about your consensus method?
Sure. There are two parts of it. So the inner part, the core consensus protocol, is something called practical presenting fault tolerance.
Yes.
Of course, there are many things you have to do to make it really scalable. Otherwise, it only works for about 100 nodes or 200 nodes. Beyond that, it becomes much slower. We did many things to make it scale up to, let's say, 600 or 800 nodes. But the outside still needs a little bit of mechanism before the nodes can enter into this PBFT process. Because otherwise, in a public network, people can just come in. I can come in. I say I have I represent 1,000 nodes. I can say I represent 5,000 nodes, and I outvote all the good guys if I'm a bad guy. So that's why we need another layer, which is something like proof of work, to sort of guard like who can enter. If I claim I have 5,000 nodes behind me, I got to show that I have the computational power as 5,000 nodes.
Of course.
That limits the power of malicious nodes, doing such self-claiming. So it's a combination of both.
Oh. Where do you see yourself in terms of your company, in terms of improvement rates in TPS? Obviously, there have been a lot of improvements this year on whether it's on Ethereum or on the Lightning Network, where scaling solutions have been applied, and TPS obviously has gone up, and the future seems that we can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. What are your hopes in terms of the general industry of where blockchain is at on many base platforms? What kind of transaction rates do you think that we'll be seeing within the next year?
I think if you look at different architectures, right, you will see different numbers. If you look at something like EOS, for example, because they are based on something called delegated proof of stake, that means those are delegating their decisions to a small group of nodes. I think you can see very high throughput. Today they're seeing like more than 2,000, I guess, EOS. I think it's going to go up even further. But what we want to achieve is to say, with the assumption that we want to do everything in a very decentralized way, what is sort of our limit? I think it's very hard to say. In our architecture, we design a specific way so that to a certain large extent, our TBS will grow as long as your network grows. That means you have more and more nodes joining the computation of the network. So that's sort of the benefit of our architecture. But of course, it's not going to go infinity, right? There are many new engineering, sometimes tricks, sometimes techniques you have to develop. And to an extent, you are running into the bottleneck of today's network bandwidth. That's a physical bottleneck. You cannot just easily bypass. So we don't know the limit yet. But what we can say is that we are still keeping improving in terms of throughput.
So you explained to me that you were in securities. Going from IT and securities into blockchain makes a lot of sense, obviously. But I've seen a lot of people go from the finance sector into blockchain. And most of them, it's been due to personal investments. Is that how it started for you, or?
Not exactly. So I got to know the team back in October last year. I was at JP Morgan then, and I just went for training middle of the year in New York. And I think that was around the time when ICOs were getting really hot. So as I say that, I think definitely the returns. If you look at traditional investments, you're kind of happy with a 5% return year on year. And then when you hear of this new asset class that's giving you multiples, it's to be honest, it's pretty exciting. And that was kind of when I started delving more into this area. I think what really kind of made me convinced me to make the leap was the team. So I think in this space there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of hype, but as I got to know the team, I think it's a very different group of people. You see that firstly, a lot of them come from academic backgrounds. It's really more about the fact that the team has made a promise and they're supposed to deliver this platform and they're really doing their best to deliver it. It's not so much about let's try and make a quick buck. And I think for me that was kind of the key difference, and that was what kind of made the plunge.
It's been a rough year, right? Bear market. I'll sum this up with the last question. Totally, absolutely nothing to do with your project, or really any project recently. But in terms of markets, for this year, bullish or bearish?
That's the toughest question.
Right.
I think I'm still optimistic. I think the market is going to stabilize. That's my personal view, but I could be completely wrong.
As someone from finance?
No. I think that it's probably a time when you can kind of see quality from like stuff that's just not so great. Because I think that definitely this year, last year it's kind of like it didn't matter what you put your money into. Like you just
you could just have a white paper and people would just
Exactly.
give you money.
And you would have like had pretty good returns because of the amount of money that was poured into the
Yeah.
space. But if you kind of look at the investment experience from like end of last year to this year, most people actually haven't had a positive one. They really experienced a correction. But I think that's also like it is necessary. A shakeout is necessary at some point. And I think it's really a time when you can really tell like quality from like just claims on paper. And I think that's good. But what you're going to see is like real dispersion. I still think that you can have very healthy returns from projects that are very solid. You kind of see that like these days people are kind of flocking more towards those that are backed by academic research. So people that they actually feel are going to deliver. And I think what you'll see is that all these like very hyped up ones that don't really have anything behind them, they probably won't do so well. So I think it's definitely like a year of people are going to be a lot more discerning, and you're going to see a lot more dispersion between what's going to make it and what's not.
Yeah, this year's been very interesting. A lot of self-standardization and self-regulating has happened. Even in Korea, which is pretty crazy because we're pretty slow on regulations. Like, did you know that our government task force for blockchain, for regulating blockchain and ICOs and crypto, was formed December 17th of last year, and they haven't had one meeting in the last 7.5 months.
I heard that leaders were changed as well.
Yeah, it's nuts that you're creating a task force to regulate something, an entire industry, we're pretty up there, a multi-billion-dollar industry, and no regulations, not even a meeting.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because this is really a very fast-moving space,
Yes.
and people need more time to understand it. Sometimes how to regulate it is a global challenge.
I don't know. I feel like regulations will definitely help other projects really streamline, and a standardization for whether it be for token sales or whether it be for development or whether it be for security tokens and the different types of tokens and what they have to offer would definitely help speed the systems up, and you would see bigger conglomerate institutional giants jumping into the field. Although all the smart people are in crypto, like the guys here. But yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.